All right. It being 6 o'clock on Thursday, May 21st, 2020, let's begin the meeting for the Committee of Ways and Means. All votes will be by roll call. If you'd like to speak, please use the raise hand function. And if anyone from the public in attendance has questions or comments, please reach out to the town council by our email, which is towncouncil@braintreema.gov, and we will get all of your questions answered for you. I do believe this is our 9th night of budget and capital hearings. So with that, we can get started. Clerk Cimino, please, with a roll call vote.
Councilor Boericke.
Here.
Councilor Connors.
Here.
Councilor Flaherty.
Here.
Councilor Ryan.
Here.
Councilor Sciascia.
Here.
All present.
Thank you very much. There are no minutes to approve this evening, and there is no old business, so we will get started right away. We have 5 motions. I would make a motion. Let's have a motion to take off the table all the orders. Order 20027, Order 20028, Order 20029, Order 20030, and Order 20038.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Clerk Cimino, roll call vote, please.
Councilor Boericke.
Yes.
Councilor Connors.
Aye.
Councilor Flaherty.
Yes.
Councilor Ryan.
Aye.
Councilor Sciascia.
Yes.
All in favor.
Thank you, Clerk Cimino. So we do have the capital plan on the agenda this evening. We will be discussing planning, fire, building, DPW, water and sewer, and stormwater. And we also have the operating budget as well. So I would like to turn it over to Chief of Staff Taub, if you'd like to open it up.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman. I am joined here this evening by representatives from the departments that you just referenced. I have Kelly Phelan from Planning and Community Development. I have Fire Chief Jim O'Brien. I have DPW Director Jim Arsenault, along with Ben Hulk and Lou Dutton. And as usual, my counterpart in finance, Ed Spellman, here with me this evening. I gave an introduction about capital last night, and we answered a fair amount of the general questions, so I'm hoping that we can just go directly to the departments, and if there are questions, the representatives can address those individually.
Sorry. I might recommend that we take them in order to try our best to keep them organized, and then if we need to go back, we can certainly do that. So is that acceptable, everyone? Okay.
Also, Mary Beth McGrath, Municipal Licenses and Inspections, has joined us.
Thank you. So why don't we start with planning? If there's any questions for the planning department on their capital projects, I will. Also,
I would just note Director Christine Stickney is also joining us. I think that she's logged in here.
Oh, let me see.
She's on, she's in the attendees, so if I can probably bring her over. Okay. Councilor Connors.
So I just had a general question on the flood, just because it's East Braintree. If they could speak a little bit more to it as to what it is and what it's for, that would be great.
Kelly's going to come right over.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. One element of this project is the construction of a berm at the top of the bank between the river and the edge of the park. And that is intended to prevent flooding like we saw in 2018. 2 times in, I think it was January and March, almost the entire park was underwater. So the berm is anticipated or intended to help prevent that from happening again.
And is there funding from another source as well? I thought I read somewhere.
Coastal Zone Management. We got we got a grant from Coastal Zone Management for the design. Now we're asking for this local match this $10,000 as a local match for the next grant round, where we'll develop construction documents and go out to bid.
And so the cost to actually build the berm is not in this 10,000, correct?
No.
What's the estimated cost to build the berm?
Well, we don't have that yet, but That will come out of the next phase, and then we'll come back and probably ask for some more money to match the construction phase. Coastal Zone Management really likes to break things down, and they'll phase the design, then they'll phase the development of construction docks, and then actually the construction element. So I think we're well positioned to continue to receive funding.
And will the request for funding come in 2021, do you think, or later?
Yes. And
It will be
2021.
It'll be a supplemental request.
I expect so.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Counselor Ryan?
Thank you. Hi, the berm that's going to be built, do we know what elevation it's going to yet? Because I would assume it's going to be a 100-year storm with storm surge, maybe 2.5 feet of storm surge. So is that the criteria?
It is, and I think it is actually just about 2.5 feet. I have the plans here, and I can tell you the exact elevation if you want to know.
I'm going to guess 118, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, down at the sea level, we're at 0 down at sea level, so the top of the berm is 10 feet.
Okay. That's not, yeah, I think I'm going Boston City base. Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure we're building it as high as we should the first time, so we don't have to go back and make any changes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I want to mention, we did intend to have a public meeting on this project in April, but given the COVID situation, we were not able to do that. So as soon as we can meet, I'd really like to do it in person. So we're kind of holding out for possibly the fall at this point, since people may not be able to meet during the summer, but we do want to have a community meeting.
Counselor Flaherty?
So once you have a request for funding in 2021 to construct this, assuming you get that funding, do you have any idea how long it would take to construct?
Probably less. The in-water work, like the part that's restoring the salt marsh and stabilizing the bank, I think that's a couple weeks of work. And then the berm, maybe another few weeks.
So pretty quick.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the committee for the planning department? Counselor Sciascia?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. My question is about the electronic storage of information. And going back to an earlier conversation with the mayor about getting all of the planning board and ZBA documents posted online with the meeting agendas. And I'm wondering if this project, although it says it's due to lack of physical space, if this helps us get to that goal of having everything posted electronically before meetings.
Director Stickney?
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Chairman. That request wasn't put forward. We've put it in other years as well, but this year we were given the approval only for the 10,000. But what we are trying to do is work with the mayor's office and Andrew Marin at the school department to start getting applications as they come in, all of that put online, so that people, especially this is a good time to see how things work, but they'll be able to see the applications right when they come in. But we didn't get the approval for the second element. We felt that the Watson Park was an important one to get straightened out first.
Okay, so it sounds like you're moving ahead with getting things posted online, and this is completely separate. I know this is not approved for this year. I'm just trying to see if this is suggesting that we are not going to be able to get documents posted online with meetings, the fact that this is not in here. Does that make sense?
May I, Madam Chairman?
Yep.
So, Counselor, I think what there may be some confusion and maybe I'm not understanding your question clearly, but we are trying to scan and make available electronically all of our files, which are now just in paper documents and file cabinets eating up space. And that's what that archiving scanning project's about. The what we're trying to do now is, as applications are coming into the department, we're trying to get them online in a simple method of just going into the website and having them there for our on our page, and people can take a look at it. So I'm not sure if I
Okay.
answered your
Yes,
question.
that's it exactly. So this is the old paper documents. It has nothing to do with the applications you're getting now. Okay, yes. that
Yeah, it's
answers-
just a lack of physical space. You know, I ask each year. I'm not the only department. It's an issue for I think a lot of departments, and I think the administration. I don't want to speak for Chief of Staff Taub, but I think they would try to do something collectively with all of us. So.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Nicole.
Thank you. That's exactly right. So you'll see a couple of departments requested funding for a kind of scanning project. And we think that there are various departments that could benefit from a service like that and intend to look at a kind of more global solution for that rather than having departments do it individually.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on the capital plan for the planning department? In that case, I would suggest we move on to fire. Counselor Flaherty.
So my question with regard to fire is, the description says, in addition to previously allocated funds. So it would be $3,500,000 in addition to something, but I'm not sure what.
1.3 million that was previously allocated, I believe 2 years ago almost,
Okay.
for upgrades.
So it'd be like 4.7 million, 8 million,
Right.
right?
Correct.
That's fine. Hey,
So I regret that I have not managed to get over to the fire station and have a tour of your headquarters. That was something I really meant to do. And I was like, I'll get to it. And then I was like, oh, COVID, man, I can't go now. So I haven't seen the headquarters. I'm given to understand that they are deplorable. And I'm wondering, how far are you going to be able to get to address the issues with $4.8 million? Like what are you prioritizing in that project?
Primarily the second floor and the living quarters. And what I'm hoping for is that the money extends so we can actually work on the apparatus floor. Realizing current day situations and fiscal restraints, I think that 4.8 is a very, very good head start to get us to where we need to be.
Okay, so that really brings me to the question that's truly on my mind, which is, this doesn't seem like enough to do what you really need to do. And is this the strategy that you want to employ to try and like do things piecemeal rather than waiting until the town may be able to afford a full-scale rebuild or new build?
Well, I wouldn't classify it as piecemealing. I would classify it more as a total remodel for the second floor, the living quarters and the admin side, which, again, I hope you can come over and take a look at it. I think you'd understand in less than 5 minutes why we're doing the work that needs to be done.
The second you are able to entertain a person like me, just let me know and I will come.
Okay, for sure. But again, we're focusing on the living quarters, which just to give you a little bit of history, the building was built in 1930, excuse me, 31. It was built as a joint fire and police headquarters. In 1975, the police moved from Union Place to Union Street, where they currently still reside. And the only moderations that were ever done to that building were done by the firefighters to basically get rid of the petitions that separated the two agencies in 1975. Other than that, everything's pretty much the way it was built.
Okay, so you're confident that this plan to do this now and maybe other things later is a strategy that's going to get us where we need to go with that headquarters?
Yes, I do.
Okay, that's what I needed to know.
Counselor Connors.
Hi, Chief. So I just
Hello.
want to say I'm really excited to see you guys start this capital project. It is well overdue. We come in with the Cub Scouts a lot, and we see it. We don't see the second floors, but we see enough to know that you guys could really use the help. So I'm excited that it's going to go through, and you guys are going to get at least a new second floor and sleeping quarters, and we'll work on the apparatus at some point.
I appreciate your support.
Other questions from the committee members for the chief? Chief, I have a question for you. And again, to echo Counselor Connors, I'm delighted to see this in the plan this year. I know it's been a long time coming, and it is in District 5. But when do you expect the work to start?
Well, we are hoping, fingers crossed, in the spring of 21.
Okay.
Obviously, there's some planning and design work that needs to be done. We just recently chose a OPM, on-site project manager.
Okay.
So we're excited about that, and hopefully it's going to go in phases, and we're going to leave it in this company. Vertex was the company that was selected, and it's going to be left in their hands how they phase this out. But from our estimates, we're going to start in the spring, next spring.
Yeah, that's great. And then I know that what was not recommended was a fire truck, for $700,000. So what, does that put us in any kind of a bind in terms of, maybe you could just talk a little bit about how frequently the trucks need to be refreshed? I don't know, that's probably not the right word. Retired and replaced.
Well, what we do is we usually, we don't phase them out. A frontline piece at headquarters, like Engine 4, for example, that does a lot of the medical calls, hazmat calls. A truck like that, we hope to get 10 years out of, and then we'll usually put that as a spare engine, which we store in East Braintree. So when one of the other engines needs work or is sent out for work, that spare piece would come in and take the place of the existing engine. A ladder truck, we like to get a little bit more out of, hopefully 12 to 15 years. So I think we're in pretty good shape for our apparatus right now. Obviously, in a perfect world, I'd love to have a new piece of apparatus every year, but I realize that's not fiscally possible. So we're pretty much set for apparatus.
Okay, so and this is a process question, so then would we expect next year when we're reviewing the capital plan that the truck would be back on the list, this particular truck?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure that you and your team have what you need, and also make sure that the committee, we had discussion on this yesterday, has an understanding of what the out years look like for our residents, so we have an understanding of what is coming up for capital.
Understood. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Other questions for the chief on fire? All right. Moving on to building. Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, guys.
Evening.
Hi, Mary Beth. Thanks
How are
for
you?
coming.
You're welcome.
All right, so I want to open it up to the committee members for questions regarding the capital plan for building. Counselor Connors.
Hey, Mary Beth.
How are you?
I just have so you guys are ADA compliance issues. That's what you're looking for. Can you just kind of go into detail what areas you're going to start looking at for this capital?
I can't specifically do that because what we do is we coordinate with the Department of Public Works and see what projects they have. And then we try and we take this money to enhance the projects that they have.
and what needs they have. We also have an active lawsuit, as you're aware, so we will certainly be
Oh,
waiting
yeah.
to see what the outcome of that is and what needs to be addressed to appropriately assign the money for any expenditures that we make.
I forgot about the lawsuit, sorry. I
Yeah, we
mentioned that the
haven't.
other, I remembered that. That was really the only question I had, was more detail on what we thought we were gonna do with the money, so I'm all set.
Thank you.
Other questions on building from the committee members? Hopefully this was your quickest meeting of the day, Mary Beth. I see none. All right, moving on to DPW.
Good night.
Hi, Jim.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
Okay, Counselor Ryan.
Thank you. Jim, how you doing tonight?
Good, thank you.
Jim, I just have a couple of questions. On the dump truck we're buying, how many existing dump trucks do we have right now?
Can I, it'd be, if it's okay, I could defer to Ben?
Yep.
With Ben.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Dump trucks, 2 large dump trucks in water and sewer and 20 large CDL trucks. No, that's too high. 12 large CDL trucks in highway.
Okay. So, but this is a 10-wheel dump truck, so this is a big dump truck, right?
Water and sewer.
This one for water and sewer is a big dump truck, right?
Yes, it is, yes.
Okay. And there's no sharing of other departments' dump trucks where you could get by without one. This is definitely needed. And what is it going to be used for?
Like Luke talked.
Yeah, Luke can speak to that with water and sewer side.
Hi, Lou.
Hi, don't mind the hair, sorry. The 10-wheel dump truck we would like to purchase, we've had a lot of problems in the past where the smaller dump trucks, a lot of the emergency digs that we have to do, we're stalling around, we're waiting for them to dump a truck, bring it back. With a larger dump body, we'd be able to do everything in one shot and save a lot of time and man hours repairing leaks. And also it's good to have another large dump truck in the winter time, you know, heavy equipment to be able to send out there and plow.
Okay, so have you tried to get the dump trucks from the highway department and utilize those dump trucks when you have a big job going on?
Also the dump truck's better suited also to pull the trailer for the mini excavator that we have and the rollers and all the rest of the equipment also. Usually the dumps at the highway department are utilized. So it's kind of hard to work, you know, in an emergency situation for them to drop everything that they're doing to, you know, cater to us and our needs, especially winter, because all the trucks have the sanders on them.
Right. So have you tried to borrow their trucks and use it for the jobs you need? Do you have a dump truck sharing between departments and use the trucks when you need them?
No, we do. No, we do not.
Okay. Well, might be a good idea to try to borrow the dump trucks from the highway department when you need a dump truck. I don't know why we don't do that. That doesn't make sense to me. So let me ask the DPW director that question, please. So we never try to use dump trucks from the highway department to...
If this is an emergency situation where they need to help out, like Lou was saying, we would do that. And we do during wintertime, all the trucks are interoperable, but they just want to have it on a regular basis. They want to have that available to them at all times. So that's what I believe that's why they wanted to have it that way. But we do share equipment from time to time, yes.
They is who is they?
Between water and sewer division and the highway division. And all divisions. I mean, in the wintertime, all divisions share. There's no question. We all, you know, participate in the snow plow removal and all that. So,
right.
Yep.
But is this truck being purchased for for snow plowing? I guess you're saying you can do some of it, but
A little bit for snow plowing and also for when they're out there on a regular basis, they're trying to save some money instead of having to come back. Wait for a truck, sit there waiting, the truck goes back, then it comes back out again. And they feel that the larger size will give them the ability to just go out once, get it done, and go back. So it makes them more productive. That's what they feel.
All right, it's a big number, 271,000 for the dump truck. And as the previous speaker said, we have 12 big dump trucks in the highway department. So I just wanted to make sure that we.
Not that size.
They don't have one of that size in the highway department.
Two, right?
I thought he said
one
they
of them. They have one of them.
size.
Yeah, they have one that size, but it makes it, that makes it hard when you only have one available to pull it.
Okay, I guess I misunderstood what he said. I thought he said you have 12 that big. Okay.
No, only
All right.
one of that particular size. Yeah.
Okay. So I just got a few questions about, because a lot of your money's on vehicles.
Yeah.
And the stormwater folks
Yeah.
are getting four-wheel drive vehicles. So that's for, I thought we had talked earlier about when we talked about staffing for the stormwater department that you had, I don't know, I thought you said that you had vehicles and equipment for them already. Maybe I was mistaken, but this is going to be a truck for them as well? Did you
Yes,
say that
this is
before?
No, I think I meant for water and sewer. We had the vehicles and equipment ready, but
Oh, for the new water and sewer staff. Okay.
yes, yeah.
Okay.
But for the water and sewer with the stormwater staff, they have to share a vehicle, which is fine. But the inspector, when they do an inspections on a regular basis, because what happens is EPA is mandating that we go out there on a regular basis and be checking constantly, and they really have no dedicated vehicle. So.
Okay, and they're going to get what is that going to be, a four-wheel drive, a pickup?
Yeah.
F-150.
F-150.
Okay, and then for the water and sewer department, you got 79, almost 80,000 for vehicles for the meter division. What type of vehicles are they? How many vehicles and what types?
I'll let Lou talk. He's right here. Right, we got
Two of them are going to be mid-size Ford Transit vans, and the third is going to be a Ford Escape.
Okay, and these all are going to the metering department?
Correct, yes.
When you get new vehicles in, do you ever rotate them and give them to other people and send hand-me-downs to these departments?
Yes, well, the intention for the two of the meter vehicles that we have right now are to send them to recycling, since I guess the electrical cars, the leases are up, so those are going back. So we're going to send those down to recycling, and then the third one we're going to keep at 85 Quincy Avenue as a pool car.
Okay, so the ones that are going down, how many miles are on those and what years are those? I'm just wondering what the criteria is.
They're 2012s. They have about 50,000 miles on them, somewhere around there.
Do they have any maintenance issues associated with them or reliability issues?
What's that?
A lot of heavy stuff on it.
Yeah, there's a lot of money going into one of them. And it's due to the weight that they're carrying around in the meter division with all the meters, all the brass. They're really not designed for that kind of work. So that's why I talked to Mike McGurty, and Mike McGurty, he really recommended that we go to the next size bigger so it'll support the weight that they're carrying around.
So this is a more sturdy vehicle, the two
Correct.
transit vehicles.
Yes.
Great, good. Thank you. And the question I have, the way this stormwater is worded, the sum of $60,000 be transferred from fiscal year 2019 certified stormwater retained earnings for the purpose of catch basin cleaning by others. What does that mean by others?
All right. So what happened is we're going to have a crew that are going to be maintaining the catch basins from now on. But the DEP is mandating that we get this in compliance fairly quickly. So we are going to have some work done by contractors to just start some of the work. It's not going to do the whole town. It's not going to do by any means get us in full compliance, but at least it gives us a head start for this year. That's all.
So, when
Before the-
are the,
because-
go ahead, I'm sorry.
By July 1st, we're supposed to be in compliance, which we probably won't be, but we're trying to get as far ahead as we can, to get as much done as we can in a very short period of time. So, and also, I don't know when we, once we get the positions, obviously it takes time to hire and stuff like that. So we really need to get work going very, very quickly.
So that's my question, Jim. When do you anticipate hiring and having people on board and then having the people doing the actual work?
That might be a question for someone. I mean, as soon as we can, I'd like to get them out, but I just don't know. It's given the situation that we're all in. I just don't know how fast we can get people in. But yeah, we could use them immediately. But as soon as we're able.
So this is to hold you over till the people are on board.
Yes.
Okay.
Because of the time, because of the timeline of the DEP, they're just really pushing us. So.
All righty. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Counselor Flaherty?
I had a couple of questions. The first are about the town hall renovations that are planned, HVAC renovations in the town hall. Can you tell me what this is going to include and why it's essential?
Yeah, okay. So right now, we have already completed the council chambers in the previous year, a couple of years. And so that's been done. And so right now we're doing the second floor and the first floor. So those are getting completed as we speak. That should be completed maybe in another couple of weeks to a month. We should have that up and running. But the basement does not have the HVAC system linked in. So it's an outdated system. It's not functioning properly. And so we need to have that functioning. And it is quite expensive due to, it's an old building and it has all the ductwork down there is extremely old. And so it's going to require some extensive work. They already have been complaining in the past about air quality and stuff like that. And we really need to get them going on that. So.
Do you anticipate that once you make these renovations that you'll see some energy savings at town hall?
Absolutely, yes. We have already replaced the boiler system, which is great. So that's going to save us a lot for this coming winter. And then also, we made it where it's a split system too. So if, say, for some reason one goes out, you still at least have some heating. And then there's the amount of savings. It's all brand new system. It has redundancies in it to make sure that it has a backup system. And then all of the systems are all brand new, top of the line energy conservations. So we should be saving quite a bit of money in electric on this. And we actually are, we're trying for grants and stuff like that. And one of them is the energy conservation grant. And so all of these reductions in costs due to energy help us in the compliance of that.
Okay, good. And my other question has to do with the cemetery and grounds maintenance.
Yes.
Or you have a cemetery expansion on Plain Street.
Yes.
So you're
So
asking for $150,000 on that. And I mean, you must already own the land, right?
Yes.
So this is not a land purchase, but you're going to provide infrastructure so that the portion of the land that you already own can now be used for burial?
Yes. The existing cemetery is just about completed. There's very little space left. There is some, but it's getting towards the end of it. So this will help us to expand the facility, make sure it's all, top of the line, make sure it's available for people into the future and not. And so, and it brings in revenue. So we get revenue, and that revenue goes into a trust that over the time helps with maintenance costs and continuing that treatment and the upkeep of all of our facilities.
Okay, how many graves are you planning to prepare? How many graves will fit on the land that you're going to prepare?
Geez, I don't remember off the top of my head. I believe it's somewhere in the neighborhood. It's a couple hundred graves, I believe. It's like 300 or 400 or something like that. I don't have an exact number at the top of my head.
That's okay. That's a good enough estimate. And now up there's wetlands, and then there's the compost pile. Are those going to be problems for you for developing this land?
No, actually, we went before the Concom in the past, and we actually got an approval for that area. So we did get approved in the past for that. In the section that we're looking at, there are definitely wetlands in that area, but we have already laid out that area where we had the conservation approval before, and obviously, once we get going and moving, we'll make sure that everything's in compliance. So we should be good to go on that. So.
Okay, thanks.
Counselor Connors.
Hey, Jim.
Hi.
So I know you guys answered, I had put a question in about what would happen if we skipped paving this year, which would also mitigate the need for the pipeline. Can you just go, so what would be the impact, I guess? I don't think I got a full answer to it. What would be the impact if we just delayed everything 1 year for what we're doing, other than the Chapter 90 funding?
So you're talking about water main replacement?
Water main replacement and paving, they kind of go together. You do the water mains first, and then you do the paving the following year. So what would happen if we decreased it for 1 year and then picked it up again next year? What would be the impact of that, other than 1 year delay?
Yeah, the largest impact would be that the people that have already had work done on their roadways and they look not so nice. They have debris everywhere. The curbing's ripped up and destroyed. There's, it doesn't look good because what happens is we do the work in the fall, in the spring, in the summer, and then in the fall towards the winter, we finish up the work, and then we do a top coat or a base course, they call it, asphalt on top of it. But we don't complete the work until the spring and the summer. Now, normally we'd already be going on this and moving on it, but we, due to the situation, it's probably going to be, a little bit longer, I imagine. And also the capital hasn't improved yet, so we can't really move forward without capital money. So once the capital is approved, then we're going to go out and redo the sidewalks, clean it up, and the top course hasn't even been put down on it. So what happens is in the wintertime, the reason why we leave it over winter is it allows that asphalt to flex and bow during the course of the winter. So when we come back in the spring, that level, the top course will be nice and even and drain properly and all that stuff. And you got basins that may be, not correctly aligned, and it would be a huge hardship to those people that are affected by that.
So I guess my next question then would be, when you fund it, so Shaw Street's a great example, right? You guys did that exactly on Shaw Street. We have the top coat on there now. It's a mess. I agree with you. Yeah. So when we fund these projects originally, so with your capital funding from last year, that didn't cover the entire doing everything on Shaw Street. It just covered doing the first phase of it.
No. So what happens is we split it up. It's not the matter of the money. We split it up over the winter because we want to give it that time to settle, and so that they won't have any issues in the future. Because if we just paved it base course and then, well, first of all, we don't have the time to do all the sidewalks and all that within that year. So we wait for the following year to do it. And so it gives it that time to settle out, get everything good, and in the spring we're ready to go. So
no, I understand that. My question was the funding for that. So when you say capital projects in 2019, we're going to do Shaw Street.
Yeah.
Are you only funding phase 1 where it gets you to the point where we're at now, and then phase 2 where you're doing the final coating and final comes out of capital 2020 funding?
No, I mean, we get all the funding at the same time, but what happens is that funding, that process where we have the money, it's held until the spring. But last year's money isn't, we spent most of that on, when we do the resurfacing, we do the last year's projects in the previous year. So all the projects we had money for last year has been spent in August and all that stuff. So now the new money is going to be spent for this coming year. So it's like 1 year off, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Right. So Shaw Street, so in order for you to finish Shaw Street, you would need capital 2020 funding.
Yes,
to complete
we cannot finish it without this funding.
That's the answer I'm looking for. Okay. All right. That's all I had. I had a bunch of questions about vehicles, but Council Ryan kind of nailed those. So.
Okay, thank you.
I'm all set. Thanks.
Thank you.
And Council Ryan?
Jim, I just had one more question about the sweeper. So I know the sweeper is important related to the stormwater. We need to sweep the streets so everything doesn't go down the drain. How many sweepers do we currently have? And I know that they take a beating and they're very,
Yeah.
so I'm just wondering what we have now and how long, what's the useful life on one of the sweepers we have in town?
Okay, hold on, I'll give you Benny. He knows a lot more than I do about that stuff.
Hello. So we currently have 3 of them. You have that other piece of paper? Oh, thank you. Currently, they are a 2008, a 2012, and a 2016. So this would be trying to replace the 2008, which is 12 years old. Ideally, in a perfect world, a lot of contractors and everything. 5-6 years is really when you start to see the downfall on the maintenance costs and all the other stuff, and the price of the repairs go up exponentially as they get older. Historically, so the last one we purchased in 2016 replaced a 10-year-old sweeper. The one we purchased in 2012 replaced a 7-year-old sweeper. And this one here would again be looking at to try to replace a 12-year-old sweeper.
Thank you. I know that the sweepers, like I said, they're doing very abrasive work and they really get beat up terribly. So.
Yeah, like, ideally, perfect world. I mean, we'd ask for one every 5 or 7 years, but I mean, we understand the restraints and we understand where we're at. But it is a pretty high priority to get this one up and running, and keep the ball rolling with the sweeping and all the other stuff.
Thank you. I'm all set.
Counselor Sciascia?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. If we could just go back to the roads for a second. So if I understand correctly, in the fall, you're doing the first part of the work, and then after the winter and everything settles, you do the second part of the work. So I just want to make sure that if there were a situation where in fiscal year 22, things were a lot worse and we had no federal money and we had to say, you know what, we can't do any streets this year. Would we at that point still have a bunch of streets that are half done because we did the first part of the project in fiscal year 21, and then we decide that we don't have the money for the second half?
Well, I just want to make it short, Madam Chair. So I just want to make sure it's clear. The road is stable. It's not that there's any issue with traversing it or any issues in that regard. It's aesthetically not pleasing, and it's not. The sidewalks are, not in great shape, but they weren't before, So it's not something that's, it's dangerous or that it would cause a real condition where you'd be worried about having damage to vehicles and stuff like that. It's not the greatest scenario, I agree with you, but it's not something that would be a danger to the traveling public at all. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. But I guess so at what point in the year do you decide all the streets that are going to be done and what is going to carry over into the next year?
Okay, so we actually plan out pretty far ahead. We have we look at a lot of different scenarios. We look at the condition of the roads. We look at equity throughout the community. We look through a bunch of different things in order to come out with the scenarios and the number of, also the funding levels and what we can get for the funding based on the current costs and stuff like that. So we look at extensively at a lot of different scenarios, and we usually project out anywhere from 2 to 3 years and have that information available. And then we usually in the spring, this is an unusual, like I said, but usually in the spring we go out and meet with the residents. We tell them, hey, we're going to have this program coming up, and these streets are going to be affected, and really go meet with them and kind of do some outreach and stuff like that, well in advance of the project. So we know where we are pretty far ahead.
Okay. I think that answers the question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor Flaherty.
Well, I have some follow-up questions on that because I was wondering really a lot about the same thing. I mean, what it sounds like you have some extensive criteria to use to determine which roads you're going to apply the first half of that process to. And the problem is that we know we're facing some stark economic times ahead. and that there really might be hardship. But when you invest in doing the first half of the road with the funding that we give on 1 year, like this year, in order to do it right, it kind of locks us in to funding it again next year. And that's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that you'll begin the process on things and we won't be able to follow it up. So I guess I'm wondering if you can comment on that. And also if you would comment on, if you didn't follow it up, does that impact the durability of the first half of the job?
There was a question. No, so the durability of the road is definitely not in question, for sure not. The asphalt, actually the base course of roadway is the most durable portion. The top course is like a wearing course. So if you're driving over it constantly on the top course, it does have, it does wear a little bit. The base course is strong. It's where you get the larger material that has much more strength to it. So it could last a number of years and be fine. And so that's really, there's absolutely no worry about it. And I guess to answer your question, if there was an emergency situation, I know we're in a situation now, but if there was a situation in a year from now and we had to stop, I wouldn't have any issue with leaving it that way. And if there was any minor, sidewalk issues or things, we could definitely take care of them. So I don't see that as a problem. I think Nicole wants to.
Well, I also think it might be helpful to clarify that the first phase of the work, the funding, and Jim and Luke can correct me if I'm wrong, that funding for that first phase comes also out of water and sewer. So it's a kind of a split funding. So I think the question was, what happens if we lose Chapter 90? Is that what we're talking about? And there's a significant reduction in the availability of funds to do the repaving work. Councilor Flaherty, is that what you were kind of getting at there?
Yes. I mean, if a reduction of funding for any given reason happened, what would we do?
So I think I would say generally infrastructure and roadways certainly will continue to be a priority, so that when we find ourselves prioritizing funds and projects, I would anticipate that this roadways would be at the top. But I think to Director Arsenault's point, where they may not be the most beautiful, but they will be more structurally sound than they were when the project started. You're not at the finish line, but you're certainly a little bit closer. And if that paving work, the aesthetic work has to be delayed, it perhaps would not be detrimental to the project. Fair?
Okay, so if you had to delay that second portion, which you're characterizing as chiefly aesthetic, then if we made that delay, would it cost more to do it later down the road because of the delay?
Would a delay have an impact on the cost?
Madam Chairman?
No.
Councilor Ryan.
Yeah, that's not aesthetic. Final roadway work is not aesthetic. I don't know if I heard anybody really categorize it that way. No, it's not aesthetic. It's, you do a certain amount of work right after you do the trench work, and you let it settle over the winter, and you come back and you do the final paving. A long time ago when I was a selectman, you'd have the fire department come in and fight for all the money, the police department come in and fight for all the money, the school department come in and fight for all the money, and then nobody came in and fought for the roads. So the roads fell apart in this town, and we need to spend the money on the roads. And we've had 100 roads program for, we went into our 4th time. We've done hundreds of roads over, and it's never been better. And I don't know if you can remember back in the town when the roads were the worst part of the town. So I think we need to fund this. I was a little hung up on the part where we fund only half the project. I don't necessarily believe that. I think we fund the whole project when we do it. But I think you start using a pot of money the first year, and then you get into the second year and you have a pot of money, and you're doing the road rehabilitation. What goes into deciding how to do a road? It's the structural integrity of the road. When, roadway surface is really it can get bad, and it gets bad and then it falls off the edge of a table. It gets so bad and the road can really fall apart. So I think we need to spend the money here. I think there's a lot of things that go into it. when we say to National Grid, what gas lines do you have to do over? And they tell us, we're gonna do Shaw Street, the gas line going down Shaw Street. Then we better get in there and replace the water line. We take the coupons out of the water lines. We video inspect the wastewater line. We make sure all of the infrastructure in the roadway that needs to be replaced gets replaced. And that's a capital cost out of water and sewer. And then the paving comes back. So there's a lot of things that goes into what is determined for a roadway. If you're gonna rip up the street once, you do all the other business you have to do on the street. So I was really hung up on the part where Jim said, if we don't get this money, we're not gonna finish these jobs. I find that hard to believe. But I know we probably commingle money as you move forward and from the fall and winter into the spring and summer. And I support this money. It's just, I don't think we can delay doing roadways. I know that was the original question, how we started. Can we delay it? You could delay it, and then you're really falling behind with your water work, your wastewater work, whatever National Grid's doing, roadway reconstruction. So I'm not so sure it's just leaving all these projects half done. I think it's more of like delaying the projects themselves. And I want to be an advocate to keep doing the roadways and the infrastructure in this town. Thank you.
Councillor Connors.
So I'm going to go off roadways. I was done with my questions with those. I missed one question. In the write-ups, they talked about the additional funding for the Tri-Town, that we're getting charged an additional $8.7 million. And they said in the answer that we would talk about that tonight. So I don't know if it's you or Nicole or who it is, but could someone expound on that one a little bit?
Yeah, so what happened was when they originally, do you want to talk about it? Okay, so originally when they funded the project, right? Originally when they looked at the project, it's been going, it's been in the queue for many, many years. Yep. So what happened was the original consultant, CDM, who's been working on it for quite some time, did an estimate a while ago, and it came up to be $50 million. That's what the estimate was. So when we started to look into moving forward, we decided to get a more accurate look at it. But we have to by law, because we have to get an OPM, or just project manager. And so when we did that, the consultant then looked at it in much more detail. The owner's project manager's job is to look at everything, question it, make sure that they're using the best materials, all that stuff. And it's really in the beginning stages that we had that company where we weren't into the design part or the review of the design. We're just in the preliminary review of the overall project. And so when they looked at the preliminary review of the overall project, they noticed that the numbers looked like they weren't accurate, or not accurate, but they looked off, And so they came back with they looked at the actual design that was submitted by CDM and looked at the numbers, and the numbers seemed to be much higher than the estimate that the company had relayed. Now, what they did, the CDM had done, is just take some very old numbers and just move them forward with a certain increase every year. And so that didn't really match the current cost of things. And so when environmental partners looked at it, they said, this is the company who reviewed it, said, these numbers look strange. So they look like they're off. So they estimated it, and they came in with a much higher number. It was close to 90 million. And so at that point, we were like, hey, what can we even move forward with this project? That's a lot of money, and I don't know if it's feasible at this point. So what happened was we had environmental partners relook at it and say, what can we get by to make sure it's functionable, and we have it, and it has all of the equipment we need, but what number can we get it down to and get everything we want, but get it to a reasonable price? And so they looked at the redesign, they looked at design, and not redesigned it, but re-looked at the whole thing to see if there's any way to get the cost down. And so when they did that, they were able to get it down to about 65 million. And so we had already had the 50 million set at that time. And so when they went up to the 65 million, one of the towns, and part of this process, we're trying to get SRF funding, which is low interest loans. And so during that process, in order to get the lowest interest loans, we had to have all the communities vote and get it approved and all that, and the funding allocated. So one of the communities had put some extra money in their approval. So because of the extra money, we had the amount that was needed for the implementation or the SRF funding requirements. It met the requirements. So the SRF didn't have a problem. But when we were looking at the numbers, we realized something looks a little different here. And then we realized that, you know, all the other communities had adopted the later number, and our original number is what we had adopted. So we realized that we had to increase the funding on our end to match what the 65 million would be. So that's really what it comes down to.
So I guess my next question would be, when the new company realized that they underestimated the original costing, and it went up to 90 million, and then it got decreased to 65 million. Is that still going to be able to do what we needed to do? Or are we taking, I guess my question is, are we taking, you know, cuts that are going to cause the new plant to not last as long or have more maintenance or anything like that? Is it going to be detrimental to the project in the long run?
Not at all. So what happened was the original design had a much bigger building that really didn't match the current design standards and all that. So they had used an old design, and they just pushed the numbers forward. So given the current technology and the ways that things are done now, it's much more concise. So they were able to pull a lot of that square footage down. And also they had, I think, 1 or 2 different towers that they had to have in there. So there was a lot of things that today's technology doesn't require those activities. And so we're able to remove a lot of that and bring that number down. And we have been meeting regarding the treatment plant, and I feel 100% confident that we will have everything we need. Not only will we have the top of the line technologies, we are also making it such that if future treatment systems are required, or it's almost like a modular system where you can add on to it if needed in the future, like say there's a new treatment that's required, we can add to that building and provide additional treatment chambers and additional areas to provide treatment. So we're designing all of this in, and we're making it so that we can look at almost the entire plant from the location where the personnel are, and so that people won't miss anything or lose something. We have ways of bringing the materials in that we easily can bring trucks in and unload it and really be convenient for the access for the plant. We're looking at just about everything and making sure it's the top of the line and the best that you could have. It's just that we brought the price down by really making sure we crunched the numbers and made it to really a modern plant, not the old plant that was originally designed for. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Councillor Flaherty?
So unfortunately, I need to return to roadways for a moment.
Okay.
Because I need to be 100% clear on what we're funding. So I'm gonna try to ask the question right. I need to know if you're going to be able to come to a stopping place with this funding. And by that, I mean, are you going to be able to get to a safe, structurally sound, stable set of roadways, including all the gas and water line work that needs to be done beneath the road? And I'm asking you this because I'm seriously concerned about how much money this town is going to have to allocate to any capital projects next year. I'm trying to make sure that we're not setting our roadway program up to be in the lurch next year if we find ourselves sharply short of cash to allocate to it.
Yes, I'm 100% confident that the roads will be safe and they'll be traversable and they'll be functionable. Yes.
Okay, that's good enough for me.
Any other questions from the committee members? Jim, I have a couple of questions for you. One is on the roads. You know, I think, and to echo Councilor Ryan's, and I suspect many of us, funding the roads is hugely important. I moved here in 2003, 4, I think, maybe 3. And I remember how bad the roads were. They were terrible. And I think this program is hugely valuable. My question is, with planning so far in advance, where is the schedule for what's up next? Like, this is probably one of the biggest questions I get from residents. And even if it's not their road, I just want to be able to say, like, you know, next year it's going to be Hobart Ave and Washington Street and whatever, Franklin Street. And so, you know, specifically Middle, Liberty, other streets will be another year, but where is the schedule that residents can access?
Well, we used to do what's called the 100 Years Roads Program, which you've heard of before.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was every 3 years. So we would come out with a 3-year program, and it would say, okay, for the next 3 years, these are all the roads we're going to do. And there might be some adjustments during the 3 years, but that was kind of locked in. And then then we would revisit it at the last year. You know, we'd relook at the numbers and kind of make sure everybody's on board with what we're doing. Then we'd make literally a presentation to the public and say, hey, here's what we're going to do for the next 3 years. Blah. But it has changed a little bit. The mayor wants to do it as a yearly program. And so I'm not sure. I do know that we do currently have a 2 years worth of roadway projects in queue at this time. I just don't know how he wants to present that in going forward. He did talk about doing a yearly one. So I do have the current year ones that are available, and I could, you know.
Madam Chair,
Don't think that's.
we want a list of the roads you're going to do over. That's it.
Yeah, thank you, Councilor Ryan.
Yeah, so that's that's usually the way we do it. It's every 3 years, and we'll get you what we have for that. So, yeah.
Thank you. So Clerk Cimino, do you mind taking that as in the notes, please? Thank you. Okay, thank you, Jim. The next question I have, just on the stormwater, cleaning the catch basins with others, that makes sense. I understand the EPA or DEP requirements.
Yeah.
In one of the answers, it said that the money, if I'm reading this right, to be used and completed before June 30th. So how on earth are we going to do that? And what happens if we don't finish it by June 30th to that money?
Okay, so in a normal year, it probably would be, I mean, if you know, worst comes to worst, if you can't comply, you do as much as you can prior to the date, obviously. So, but in this year, given that the pandemic that we're in, the DEP is there may be some flexibility within DEP to given the situation we're in. They all understand that, you know, it's not normal year, it's not normal circumstances, but we want to get done as much as we can prior to the end of the year. So we are gonna move like crazy to try to get as much as we can done prior to the end of the year. That's all I can say.
Are we in danger of incurring any fines or fees if we are not done with this catch basin requirement in the next month?
I cannot answer that. I mean, it's a DEP that's the one that issues the notices and regulations. But I do know that. Oh, I think.
Councilor Ryan.
Okay.
So the town of Braintree DPW should send a letter to the DEP and say, given the coronavirus situation, we haven't been able to do this, but this is what we're doing. We got a capital budget. We're going to hire contractors to come in and clean the catch basins. We're hiring these people, and this is the proposed schedule. And then the DEP is going to say, we're not going to fine the town of Braintree because they're trying to do it. So that's what we should do.
And Councilor Ryan, I have done exactly that. I've already sent the letter out. So they are aware that we are in this process and that we were trying to get in compliance. And so they are aware of that. Yes, I've done that. Exactly what was said.
My last question, and I think this is you, Jim, if it's not, just let me know, is on the facilities section. So we have buildings like Doherty Gym, Pond Street, Eldridge School, which unless we're planning on getting rid of them, I don't think we are. And I know that they weren't recommended for funding this year. They're hugely important assets to the community right now in the ways they're being used. So again, and part of this goes back to my harping on the process of the capital planning. But what is the plan for the out years on those? How are we going to manage getting Doherty Gym up to snuff if it's continually falling by the wayside with prioritization?
Well, obviously, we want to, get all of the buildings up to 100%, put brand new top of the line HVAC and heating systems, and meet all of the standards that we need to meet. They are very old buildings. There's a number of old buildings in this town and that have had years and years of neglect. But we have done an amazing job with our facility staff. They are right now creating renovating the clerk's office. They are, painting buildings. They are.
No, I know the staff is, first rate. So is the answer then we'll put in for these buildings again next year and it becomes a prioritization exercise with the mayor's office?
Yes, but I will say that in the Doherty Gym, they have also done amazing stuff. They actually stripped all the floors, and they're going to re-lacquer all the floors. They painted a lot of the walls. They, redid doors, windows. I mean, it's just amazing stuff they've been doing. Now, granted, the big cost is the HVAC system in there, and that's a lot of money. And we're going to have to, that's something we will need to get to move forward in that regard, for sure.
Thank you. Those were my questions. I see Councilor Sciascia.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I really just have two questions that are more for my curiosity. Since we spent so much time on the roads, I just have to ask them. The first is that second phase of the road construction, is there a cost differential? I would guess there is between that last phase and the first phase. In other words, like 2/3 of the cost in that first phase.
Yeah, so the water work obviously is a lot where the substantial money is. And so it's probably, I'd say 2/3, 1/3, like the top coat, I think is probably 1/3 of it.
Okay.
I mean, it's rough. It depends, because sometimes you might have roads that maybe have a lot of work that need to be, a lot more work to be done. So it kind of varies, or, there may be a lot more extensive work in the ground. So it kind of varies from project to project, is my understanding.
Okay, thank you. And that might have answered my second question was, as you're estimating costs, do you have like a cost per mile or per square foot, or how do you estimate how much a project will cost?
Well, it's a series of data that we use. We look at past projects. We look at state database for the current costs and all that, and they pull all that information together and they make their estimate of what the cost should be. So I don't have a per mile cost off the top of my head.
Okay, so it's more complicated than that.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Are there other questions on DPW, water and sewer, or stormwater for the Capitol? Councilor Connors, are you good as well? You're all set? Okay.
Let me turn you around.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Okay, so I believe, Chief of Staff Taub, that takes care of all the departments in the capital plan.
Yes, it does.
Okay. I'm getting my notes. Sue, procedural question. Do we make a motion on the capital plans and then move to the budget?
That would be appropriate.
Councilor Ryan?
I'm going to make a motion for two. So Sue, am I going with I know I got a bunch of different copies here. Can I go with the package you gave me for tonight? Or we gotta go with the
Go with the package I gave you today that has R2 on the front.
R2? And that's just the white copy?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So, 20, wait a second. 20028, Mayor, request for appropriation fiscal year,
27.
what is it?
We're on 20027 is on page
Okay.
2.
I'm sorry. 20027, Mayor, request to approve the fiscal year 2020 capital plan or take up any action related there to. And it's 2020, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and it's for favorable recommendation to the full council to approve the fiscal year 2020 capital plan as submitted.
Second.
Clerk Cimino, roll call vote, please.
Council Boericke,
Yes.
Councilor Connors,
Aye.
Council Flaherty,
Yes.
Councilor Ryan,
Aye.
Council Sciascia,
Yes.
all in favor.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, 20028, Mayor, request for appropriation fiscal year 2020 general fund capital budget or take up any action related thereto. Motion for favorable recommendation to the full council. Ordered that the town of Braintree appropriates the sum of $6,813,000 to pay costs for the following capital projects. The project, police records management, $238,000. And its authorizing statute is Chapter 44 S7-71, Fire Station renovation, $3.5 million, Chapter 44 S71, School Technology, $350,000, Chapter 44 S71, School Paving Landscaping, $156,000, Chapter 44 S71, School Plumbing HVAC, $100,000, Chapter 44 S71, Elder Affairs Paving, $119,000, Chapter 44 S71, roadway resurfacing, $1,550,000, Chapter 44 S71, ADA sidewalks repair, $150,000, Chapter 44 S71, DPW facilities HVAC, $250,000, Chapter 44 S71, DPW cemetery expansion, $150,000, Chapter 44 S71, DPW highway street sweeper, $250,000, Chapter 44 S71, and for the payment of all other costs incidental related thereto, that the amounts indicated above for each project are estimates, and that the mayor may allocate more funds to any one or more of such projects and less to others, as long as in the judgment of the mayor, each of the projects described above can be completed within the total appropriation by this order. And to meet this authorization, the treasurer, with the approval of the mayor, is authorized to borrow said amount under pursuant to the authorized statutes described above, or pursuant to any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds and notes of the town therefore, and premium received by the town upon the sale of any bonds and notes approved by this order, lest any said such premium applied to the payment of the cost issuance of such bonds or notes may be applied to the payment of costs approved by this order in accordance with Chapter 44, Section 20 of the general laws, thereby reducing the amount authorized to borrow to pay such cost in a like amount. So moved.
Second.
Council
Roll call
Boericke,
vote, please. Yes.
Council Connors,
Aye.
Council Flaherty,
Yes.
Council Ryan,
Aye.
Council Sciascia,
Yes.
all in favor.
Thank
Madam
you.
Chairman, 20029, Mayor, request appropriation for fiscal year 2020 enterprise funds capital budget to take up any action related thereto. This is for favorable recommendation to the full council. Item 1.1, ordered that the town of Braintree appropriates a sum of $3 million to pay costs with the townwide water distribution system improvements for the payment of all other costs incidental related thereto, and that to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the mayor, is authorized to borrow said amount under the pursuant Chapter 44, Section A of the general laws, or pursuant to any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds, notes of the town therefore, any premium received by the town upon the sale of any bonds or notes approved by this order, less any subject of premium applied to the payment of the cost of the issuance of the bonds or notes may be applied to the payment of costs approved by this order in accordance with Chapter 44, Section 20 of the general laws, thereby reducing the amount authorized by borrowing to pay such costs in a like amount. So moved.
Second.
Council Boericke,
Yes.
Counselor Connors,
Aye.
Counselor Flaherty,
Yes.
Counselor Ryan,
Aye.
Counselor Sciascia,
Yes.
all in favor.
Madam Chairman, 20029, may I request appropriation for fiscal year 2020 enterprise funds capital budget, take up any action related thereto, continued. For favorable recommendation of the full council, 2, ordered that the town of Braintree appropriates $8,700,000 to pay the town's share of cost designing, constructing, equipping, furnishing the Tri-Town Water Treatment Plant, which is to be undertaken with the towns of Randolph and Holbrook, and for the payment of all costs incidental and related thereto, which amount shall be expended in addition to all other amounts previously appropriated by the town for this project. To meet this appropriation, the treasurer, the approval of the mayor is authorized to borrow said amount under and pursuant to general laws, chapter 44, section 7184, or pursuant to any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds or notes of the town. Therefore, the amount authorized to be borrowed by this order shall be reduced to the extent of any grants received by the town on account of this project. All or any portion of the amount authorized by borrowing this order may be obtained through the Massachusetts Clean Water Trust. Any premium received by the town upon sale of any bonds or notes approved by this order, less any such premium applied to the payment of the cost of the issuance of such bonds or notes, may be applied to the payment of costs approved by this order in accordance with general laws, chapter 44, section 20 of the general laws, thereby reducing the amount authorized to be borrowed and paid such costs in a like amount. So moved.
Second.
Counselor Boericke,
Yes.
Counselor Connors,
Aye.
Counselor Flaherty,
Yes.
Counselor Ryan,
Aye.
Counselor Sciascia,
Yes.
all in favor.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, 20030, Mayor, request for appropriation fiscal year 2020 capital budget, other available funds to take up any action related thereto. For favorable recommendation to the full council. 1, town-wide motion that the sum of $20,000 be transferred from bond premium account for the purchase of a town-wide technology. So moved.
Second.
Counselor Boericke,
Yes.
Counselor Connors,
Aye.
Counselor Flaherty,
Yes.
Counselor Ryan,
Aye.
Counselor Sciascia,
Yes.
all in favor.
Madam Chairman, 2, town-wide motion that the sum of $32,106 be transferred from the bond premium account for the purchase of a town-wide radio system migration. So moved.
Second.
Charlie.
Counselor
Oh, do we?
Sorry.
Sorry. Yes.
Okay. Counselor Connors,
Aye.
Counselor Flaherty,
Yes.
Counselor Ryan,
Aye.
Counselor Sciascia.
Yes.
That's all in favor.
Madam Chairman, 3, Planning and Community Development Department motion the sum of $10,000 be transferred from the fiscal year 2019 certified free cash for paying the town match for the CMZ grant to address erosion bank at Watson Pot flood protection. So moved.
Second.
Counselor Boericke,
Yes.
Counselor Connors,
Aye.
Counselor Flaherty,
Yes.
Counselor Ryan,
Aye.
Counselor Sciascia,
Yes.
all in favor.
Madam Chairman, 4, Police Department motion the sum of $200,000 be transferred from the bond premium account for the purchase of police vehicles.
Second.
Counselor Boericke,
Yes.
Counselor Connors,
Aye.
Counselor Flaherty,
Yes.
Counselor Ryan,
Aye.
Counselor Sciascia,
Yes.
all in
Madam
favor.
Chairman, Police Department motion the sum of $43,225 be transferred from the bond premium account for the purchase of tasers. So moved.
Second.
Counselor Boericke,
Yes.
Counselor Connors,
Aye.
Counselor Flaherty,
Yes.
Counselor Ryan,
Aye.
Counselor Sciascia,
Yes.
all in favor.
Madam Chairman, 6, Municipal License and Inspection Department motion that the sum of $100,000 be transferred from the Building Capital Stabilization Fund for the purpose of ADA compliance issues. So moved.
Second.
Counselor Boericke,
Yes.
Counselor Connors,
Aye.
Counselor Flaherty,
Yes.
Counselor Ryan,
Aye.
Counselor Sciascia,
Yes.
all in favor.
Madam Chairman, 7, School Department motion the sum of $244,070 be transferred from the fiscal 19 certified free cash for paying for the ESCO project for principal and interest expense. So moved.
Second.
Counselor Boericke,
Yes.
Counselor Connors,
Aye.
Counselor Flaherty,
Yes.
Counselor Ryan,
Aye.
Counselor Sciascia,
Yes.
all in favor.
Madam Chairman, 8, School Department, the sum of $100,000 be transferred from the bond premium account for the purchase of Munis ERP software system. So moved.
Second.
Council Berrica,
Yes.
Council Connors,
Aye.
Council Flaherty,
Yes.
Council Ryan,
Aye.
Council Sciascia.
yes,
All in favor?
Madam 9, School Department, motion that the sum of $50,000 be transferred from the Building Capital Stabilization Fund for the purpose of school department masonry repairs. So moved.
Second.
Council Berrica,
Yes.
Council Connors,
Aye.
Council Flaherty,
Yes.
Council Ryan,
Aye.
Council Sciascia.
yes,
All in favor?
Madam Chairman, 10, DPW Highway Department, motion the sum of $15,000 be transferred from the Building Capital Stabilization Fund for the purpose of ADA paths and parks. So moved.
Second.
Council Berrica,
Yes.
Council Connors,
Aye.
Council Flaherty,
Yes.
Council Ryan,
Aye.
Council Sciascia.
yes,
All in favor?
Madam Chairman, 11, DPW Recreation Department, motion that the sum of $100,000 be transferred from the Building Capital Stabilization Fund for the purpose of ADA park and recreations issues. So moved.
Second.
Council Berrica,
Yes.
Council Connors,
Aye.
Council Flaherty,
Yes.
Council Ryan,
Aye.
Council Sciascia.
yes,
All in favor?
Madam Chairman, 12, Library Department, motion the sum of $5,000 be transferred from the bond premium account for the purchase of library computer replacement. So moved.
Second.
Council Berrica,
Yes.
Council Connors,
Aye.
Council Flaherty,
Yes.
Council Ryan,
Aye.
Council Sciascia.
yes,
All in favor?
Madam Chairman, now to the Water and Source Stormwater Enterprise Fund motions. E1, Water Enterprise Fund, motion that the sum of $79,917 be transferred from the fiscal year 2019 certified water sewer retained earnings for the purpose of purchasing vehicles for the meter division. So moved.
Second.
Council Berrica,
Yes.
Council Connors,
Aye.
Council Flaherty,
Yes.
Council Ryan,
Aye.
Council Sciascia.
yes,
All in favor?
Madam Chairman, E2, Water Sewer Enterprise Fund, motion that the sum of $271,676 be transferred from the fiscal year 2019 certified water sewer retained earnings for the purpose of purchasing a 10-wheel dump truck with plow. So moved.
Second.
Council Berrica,
Yes.
Council Connors,
Aye.
Council Flaherty,
Yes.
Council Ryan,
Aye.
Council Sciascia.
yes,
All in favor?
Madam Chairman, E3, Stormwater Enterprise Fund, motion the sum of $25,523 be transferred from the fiscal year 2019 certified stormwater retained earnings for the purpose of purchasing a 4-wheel drive vehicle for inspectors. So moved.
Second.
Council Berrica,
Yes.
Council Connors,
Aye.
Council Flaherty,
Yes.
Council Ryan,
Aye.
Council Sciascia.
yes,
All in favor?
Madam Chairman, E4, Stormwater Enterprise Fund, motion the sum of $60,000 be transferred from the fiscal year 2019 certified stormwater retained earnings for the purpose of the catch basin cleaning by others. So moved.
Second. Sorry, I beat you. Second.
Council Berrica,
Yes.
Council Connors,
Aye.
Council Flaherty,
Yes.
Council Ryan,
Aye.
Council Sciascia.
yes,
All in favor?
Madam Chairman, E5, Stormwater Enterprise Fund, motion the sum of $10,000 be transferred from the fiscal year 2019 certified stormwater retained earnings for the purpose of purchasing utility software.
Second.
Council Berrica,
Yes.
Council Connors,
Aye.
Council Flaherty,
Yes.
Council Ryan,
Aye.
Council Sciascia.
yes.
All in favor?
Thanks. Thank you, Counselor Ryan.
You're welcome.
Okay, that brings us to our next item on tonight's agenda, which is 20038, which we already took off the table, the operating budget. So I'd like to open it up to the committee members for questions and comments. You're on mute, Nicole. Were you trying to say something?
May I just say something first?
Yes.
Earlier this evening, everybody received, thanks to Sue Cimino's Uber delivery service, a revised motion packet. I relayed everybody's concerns with the mayor with regards to the Historical Society and wanted to let you know that we heard you. The mayor did decide that it would be appropriate, given the issues and concerns everybody raised during the course of these hearings, to add back into that program an additional $10,000, bringing the funding provided to the Historical Society in the FY21 operating budget to a total of $22,500. So the revised motions, which I think are on, well, for me, they're on green paper. They do include that increase of $10,000 to help support the Historical Society in fiscal 21.
Thank you very much, Nicole. Appreciate it.
Excellent.
Yes, excellent. Counselor Connors.
Oh, I'm already unmuted. So I just wanted to say, I am ready to vote. I don't have any further comments. I know. I do just want to say, I think I've been pretty vocal about my concerns. They've been put on the table. I think everybody understands them. The one thing, so one of the things I think we had talked about was making sure we had a 5-year capital plan that everybody could see and look at as an outcome to this, like a to-do list, and going through and doing a 6-month review. Was that one of them we talked about last night? And I know at one point we had talked about doing or receiving, I've asked for it, a monthly update of overall budget versus expended. I didn't know if, given this year especially, if that would be possible as well.
So what I will do is I will, once we have completed this budget process, we'll work with Ed and our accounting folks and see if we can't figure out what is a reasonable workable schedule so that we can be providing updates as we move through the years, starting in July.
Right, and even just a simple printout on a monthly basis of budgeted versus actuals. That's all I'm looking for, just an overview of it. And then if we need to dig down, we can always ask that question, but I don't think it's unreasonable to get that on a monthly basis.
So Ed and I will work together to make sure that you're getting information on a rolling basis.
Okay. And that's all I have.
Donna, ask for everything before we approve this budget. That's the way to.
You notice what I'm doing here, Brian? I put it on record. This is what we're looking for.
Counselor Sciascia.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Similar to what Counselor Connors was just suggesting, I would like to suggest that we establish right now that we are going to get back together in 5 or 6 months, because it sounds to me like, if I heard everything correctly, we will have an idea of how the police overtime situation is looking. We should have some reporting out of facilities due by that point. We should have gone through the ESCO assessment to know how that's looking. We might have a better idea of state funding and some of these other things that I think we should just assume that we need to get back together in 6 months and see where we are.
I have a feeling we're all going to find ourselves together well before that. Certainly am not opposed to projecting out a date just to provide kind of an update on where we stand in the fiscal year.
Okay, thank you. And then the other question I had is, can we get an overview of, I think one of the great frustrations we've all felt all along is the lack of data. And I know that when we transition from SoftWrite to Munis, I assume that there is a lot more substantial reporting that goes with that. And I'm wondering if we can get kind of a glimpse of what the capabilities are, what kind of information we might be able to get on a regular basis.
So I think right now we're I think we talked about are a little bit delayed in Munis just because of our ability to train and bring in the new program for implementation. I would suggest that once we are established in using the program, it would be appropriate then to provide perhaps a presentation and overview to any members of the council or committee that are interested in learning more about the software.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Connors?
And I forgot to say thank you to the mayor's office for increasing the historical society. I know it wasn't much, but it meant a lot.
Yeah,
happy to do it.
And I wrote my big to-do list. I'll send it to you tomorrow for you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? I would just like to add, I will be voting tonight in favor of the mayor's proposed budget. As has been said, exceptional times call for exceptions, and echo some of what Councillor Flaherty mentioned last night. I acknowledge, there are risks to the revenue sources we are relying on to fulfill this budget. I believe it is a risk worth taking. Nobody knows what the future holds, but collectively, we have pressure tested all the assumptions. We have relied on the expertise of our town auditor and the department heads. And now, after assessing all the facts, I'm willing to take a leap of faith. This budget provides, I believe, the town offices a year to find their footing with fewer resources so they can better plan for the long haul. But most importantly, this budget protects the vital services our residents deserve. And that is my number one responsibility. So I just wanted to go on the record of saying that, and again, echo, respectfully request that maybe we do a quarterly review of where we are for revenues and expenses versus our budget. That might satisfy the in-between for Councillor Connors and Sciascia. Councillor Ryan, did you have your hand raised?
Yep, so I'm gonna make the motions, Madam Chairman. So for 20038, it is, it's for
Councillor
favorable.
Ryan, I'm just gonna stop you because Councillor Sciascia has his hand up.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to, because I see Dan is here and not Sean. I just wanted to thank our auditors, because I've been expressing the same concerns. And one of the things that really settled it for me was hearing our auditors say that we have a little bit of time to sort this all out. Whereas, I'm thinking, let's solve it right now. Having, in the short time that I have been on the council, I have come to very much trust their judgment and wisdom. So hearing their opinion on that was very valuable to this conversation. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. So this is 20038. It's for favorable recommendation to the full council, and it's for the fiscal year 2021 operating budget. And I'm going to read number 1 first, which is that the town of Braintree raise and appropriate the sum of $143,355,450 to provide for all of the expenses for the maintenance and operation of the town's several departments and for the programs for the fiscal year 2021, and that the several sums herein set forth are hereby approved for the several purposes and are subject to the source of funding for said expenditures as outlined on the attached Exhibit A, specifically that the sum of $100,126 be transferred from the golf course receipts, the sum of $250,000 be transferred from the overlay surplus account, the sum of $9,700 be transferred from the Waterways Improvement Fund, the sum of $22,000 be transferred from the sale of cemetery lots, the sum of $832,994 be transferred from the water and sewer receipts, and the sum of $33,606 be transferred from the stormwater receipts, the sum of $1,300,000 be transferred from the town-owned land account, and the sum of $2,338,294 be transferred from the FY 2019 certified free cash, and the balance to be raised in the tax levy. So moved.
Second.
Council Boericke,
Yes.
Councilor Connors,
Aye.
Councilor Flaherty,
Yes.
Councilor Ryan,
Aye.
Councilor Sciascia,
Yes.
all in favor.
Madam Chairman, number 2, that the town of Braintree appropriate the sum of $1,949,400 to provide for all of the expenses for the maintenance operation of the town's golf course and the related programs for fiscal year 2021, and that the several sums herein are set forth are hereby approved for for several purposes as outlined in the attached Exhibit A, specifically that the sum of $1,949,400 be raised in the golf course receipts. So moved.
Second.
Second.
Council Baraka,
Yes.
Council Connors,
Aye.
Council Flaherty,
Yes.
Council Ryan,
Aye.
Council Sciascia,
Yes.
all in favor.
Madam Chairman, number 3, that the town of Braintree appropriate the sum of $20,530,656 to provide for all the expenses for the maintenance and operation of the town's water and sewer division and related programs for fiscal year 2021, that the several sums herein are set forth are hereby approved for the several purposes as outlined in the attached Exhibit A, specifically that the sum of $103,694 be transferred from the Water and Sewer Rehabilitation Fund and the balance of $20,426,962 be raised in the water and sewer receipt. So moved.
Second.
Council Baraka,
Yes.
Council Connors,
Aye.
Council Flaherty,
Yes.
Council Ryan,
Aye.
Council Sciascia,
Yes.
all in favor.
Madam Chairman, 4, that the town of Braintree appropriate the sum of $907,455 to provide for all of the expenses for the maintenance and operation of the town's stormwater division and related programs for fiscal year 2021, and the several sums herein are set forth are hereby approved for the several purposes as outlined in the attached Exhibit A, and specifically that the sum of $907,455 be raised in the stormwater receipt. So moved.
Second.
Council Baraka,
Yes.
Council Connors,
Aye.
Council Flaherty,
Yes.
Council Ryan,
Aye.
Council Sciascia,
Yes.
all in favor.
Madam Chairman, 5, that the town of Braintree appropriate the sum of $517,440 to provide for all of the expenses for the maintenance and operation of the town's cable, television, public education, and government access and related programs for fiscal year 2021, and that the several sums herein are set forth are hereby approved for the several purposes as outlined on the attached Exhibit A, and specifically that the sum of $517,440 be raised in the cable franchise fees receipt. So moved.
Second.
Council Baraka,
Yes.
Council Connors,
Aye.
Council Flaherty,
Yes.
Council Ryan,
Aye.
Council Sciascia,
Yes.
all in favor.
Madam Chairman, 6, pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 31D, the town is authorized to incur a liability in excess of the amount appropriate for snow and ice for fiscal year 2021. So moved.
Second.
Council Baraka,
Yes.
Council Connors,
Aye.
Council Flaherty,
Yes.
Council Ryan,
Aye.
Council Sciascia,
Yes.
all in favor.
Yay.
Madam Chairwoman, if I may, I just would like to, on behalf of the mayor's office, and particularly Ed Spellman and myself, thank this committee for their incredible amount of hard work and diligence over the course of the last, I think somebody said it, 9 evenings. I really appreciate the work that you've done on behalf of the residents, ensuring that we continue to fund these great services that they've grown accustomed to and are very well deserving of, while ensuring the fiscal responsibility as we carry the town together into fiscal year 2021. So truly, on behalf of us on this side of the table, allow me to say thank you for all of your hard work during this process.
Thanks, Nicole. And you know, I would echo all of that. I think just if you'll bear with me for 1 second, I concur. And I think we can all be proud that the work we've done over the course of the last 3 weeks has been done on both sides of the table with a level of civility and respect that is to be emulated. And I also want to thank you for taking our concerns seriously and always with a sense of partnership on behalf of the residents. And of course, it's with deep appreciation to echo Councilor Sciascia for Sean. Dan, if you can pass that along to him this evening, yeah. Our town auditor constantly at our service, and Sue, of course, because you kept the train on the tracks. Cannot say thank you enough, I think, on behalf of all of us. So truly, truly thank you. This was a great learning experience. Thank you all. So I think we can make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Council Boericke,
Yes.
Council Connors,
Aye.
Councilor Flaherty,
Yes.
Councilor Ryan,
Aye.
and Councilor Sciascia.
Yes.
All in favor to adjourn.
Thank you,
Good
guys.
night, everybody.
Thank you,
Good
everyone.
night,
Good night.
everybody. Thank you.
Thanks.